What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded Geek Breakdown. I am your wondrous host, Lore Reloaded. Glad to see everybody here. Going to do a couple of things. If you've watched this video on demand, you know how this works. I'm going to throw a couple things at you and then going to say hi to everybody that shows up. Then we're just going to get into it. So this screen layout is going to be changing, of course, because as you notice, not only am I showing the comments, but now with the live chat replay, everyone else is seeing the comments as well. So that's going to be going away. I know that's there. So I apologize for the frustration. I'm getting it changed. Don't forget to check me out at twitter.com/lore reloaded. If you like the channel, you like what I do, and you want to see me continue to do this until the day I die, check me out at patreon.com/lore reloaded. And with that, we got some people coming in. We got Travis. What is going on, sir? Welcome back. Joshua Mosser, what up? What's going on with you? And yeah, so I don't know that we're going to stay on this topic all that long. But I thought we'd talk about just a little bit because I was seeing more and more about the toxic fandom and yada, 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 Black Mirror, Star Trek Discovery stuff. I figured that we could just, get into it, see what you guys think. I'm sure we'll be talking about Star Trek in no time. Imperious Gaming, what is going on? Yeah, they've been having issues with the showing the updates. We got Dustin Peterson in the house. Caitlin Schwar and No Strive 361. Always a good show when you guys are present. But yeah, so let's just talk about it for a little bit. And it's really frustrating to me. But if you guys know anything about the channel, especially when I do these live streams, I try to be a little bit self-reflective. I try to get other people's opinions to see what they say or what they think, or what you say or what you think. And where we go with it. So every time I hear about this toxic fandom, I'm looking, and I just pulled up a couple of things from the USS Callister, like from Collider.com. Wow, Collider. Black Mirror's USS Callister is a searing and surprising indictment of toxic masculinity. Junkie up in the house. How Black Mirror nails the problem with toxic fandoms. Albert Santos and Adam Chitwood, ironically both males when they're giving their opinions there. Of course, Star Trek Discovery, anytime you don't like anything about Star Trek Discovery, it has to be because the protagonist is both female and African American, because God forbid you not like it due to the story, or you don't like the character due to the way the character is written. But that said, let me reflect on this. So for those of you who don't know, I used to have a different channel where I did more gaming stuff. And I got invited to a couple of conventions. One called MTAC, which is the Middle Tennessee Anime Convention. And interestingly enough, it was your standard fare for an anime convention, which is you have a lot of people dressing up and cosplaying. And a lot of the females, or women, or girls, would dress very provocatively, regardless of age, which is just amazing to me. And some of the guys there were absolute jerks and idiots. Now, to put it into perspective, some of the females were pretty jerkish as well. It didn't just go one way. But the question is fandoms like Star Trek or Warcraft or whatever really, really toxic? Is it something that does need this policing that we see like the Huffington Post or Collider or Junkie or, I don't know, the Mary Sue say? Now, I don't want to get into this big on a political side. I'm going to shut it down if you guys try to get political on it too much. But what are your... what are you guys' thoughts on that? I would be very interested. Now, if you don't want to talk about this, you want to break it into Star Trek, we can. Every time I put Star Trek in the title, I'm guaranteed to get a lot of people here, but I don't want to be a one-note pony. I'd be very interested in what your guys' thoughts are. So taking a look at what people are saying, heaven forbid we have a thought about a story that isn't hate-based. I completely agree. Sci-Fi Sit Dan, is this going to be a radio podcast? It is not. Those only happen Sunday nights. By the way, guys, if you want to call in, talk with me, we can talk about anything you want to talk about. That now happens Sunday nights. It's a part of my Discord. I'll include the Discord link in the description. You guys can come talk. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to. The problem is with how sci-fi writers construct modern science fiction, says Von Miller. Perverted horror plus science fiction doesn't mix. Fandoms are a product of how sci-fi is constructed. You know, here's an interesting thing. I think there is some truth to that when you look at how sci-fi was born. Sci-fi originally was schlock. It was B-rated material because a lot of people didn't have any interest in sci-fi. It wasn't something that they thought would sell. And so they would have a lot of scantily clad women in it. And they would also include these unnecessary romance pieces to it just to get people to watch it. So I think there is something to it. So when you look at it born from that type of fruit, I guess there could be some legitimacy to saying that, you know, there's oh, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. There's when it is grown from something that isn't necessarily completely moral, that they can't have those roots there, right? Imperious Gaming, I'd say that it's more of a vocal minority. All it takes is a few bad apples to ruin things for everyone. Yeah. Resolute Germ says, no, we just need normies to mind their own business. Resolute Germ, of course, a patron of the channel. One of the reasons that this channel is expanding is because of delightful, helpful people like him rocking it out. The Australian Patriarchy says that if you need to even ask, is X toxic, then you're part of the problem. We've seen this before over and over in so many groups. Every fandom has a toxic element. It depends on how triggered the group is. No Stripe 361 in the house. I think current sci-fi is more based around spectacle, despite a few gems. That kind of stuff attracts the crowds. I guess. 14K Liam, what is going on, sir? Hope you're doing well. What really frustrates me is that I'll read this, because I tried reading like the Huffington Post article or whatever else, the Mary Sue article. It just irritates me. It pisses me off to an unreasonable degree. It's really, really frustrating. And it's hard because I can't see myself in that. I don't relate to it, and I don't like people who are like that. And everyone I interact with is not like that, you know? But again, if I find someone like that, I don't associate with them. Tesla Effect says, hi, other lore. I love your Star Trek videos. Do you know another YouTuber called Lore Runner? I have referenced Lore Runner quite a few times. Lore Runner is a person who helped inspire this show. I sometimes go to his Twitch stuff, talk to him there, watch all of his videos. I'll even reference him in some of my videos. Again, he's a source I use, believe it or not. If I'm reading up on something, I'll go look at some of his videos to see the behind the scenes that he got. Darren Wagner, another patron supporter. I think that hardcore fans are at least as toxic as hardcore sci-fi fans, just in a different way. At least sports fans have actual competition going on. You know, I think that's where I kind of land too, because I would say that there is definitively a toxic element to science fiction. To science fiction fans. I mean, there is. But there is everywhere. We, as a species, love to congregate ourselves into different tribes. So you have sports fans, you have gamers, you have science fiction nerds. I mean, some of them intersect. You have people who love politics, Democrats, Republicans. And in every one of these, you have a certain element that's toxic. And I guess that kind of frustrates me too, because people will come and they'll say, "Oh, well, look at this group. Look at the gamers. Look how much they fetishize killing and sex, and look at the science fiction people. Look how much they or the Star Trek fans. Look how they fetishize whatever, you know." I don't know. They're gatekeepers. They don't want women as a part of it, which is ridiculous, by the way. It's everyone likes to have a boogeyman. And if you look at, I don't want to get into current politics. I'm not going to, I'm using this as an example, but we're not going down this road too far. We're going to start that. I'm going to start it out like this. So we can talk about it at a high level, not going too far. look at what the White House did. And if you guys haven't seen it, I'll try to find it and I'll link it in the description. But the White House has started this crusade against violent video games because it is a great scapegoat for the violence that we're seeing at schools. And what they actually uploaded this video. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And all it is it's just these graphic images in video games and just, pretty bad violence. Now, the funny thing is a lot of them are cutscenes, a little better than movies. So really, it's an indictment of movies than it is video games. But beyond that, the in-group that the White House wants to do, the in-group that those in politics want to do, is single out gamers. It's single out movie buffs, single out this, and say that's doing it. Let's hate this group. Yeah. White House attacking video games is just a sham. They did nothing about it. I agree. Sci-Fi Sith Dan, congrats on reaching 20,000 and I hope you reach 22 by the end of the month. Hey, I'm right there with you. I didn't expect to get this far by the end of this year, so it's really exciting. It's because of you guys, so I want to thank you guys so much. When I played video games for a long stretch of time, I became cranky and toxic-like. Anyone familiar with seeing this behavior before? Any connection to overall toxicity of fandom? I don't know. I would say that's a rare. I played video games since I was a kid. I played video games since I was like 10 or 11. I started off with like Warcraft and things of that nature. And so I played violent video games all of my life. And what I do for a living is break down fictional worlds as if they're real and make a living off of it. So I'm not really seeing the connection there. Yeah. Darren Wagner, the White House did it. I don't know if Congress may be moving to it too, but the White House did it, yes. Blitz67RT, I've always seen Star Trek as a philosophy show. I think it really just depends on the philosophy of the writers. I can't really say any more than that without getting political. Sci-Fi Sith Dan, fan bases are always, to some degree, toxic to those that don't respect the material that the fan base likes or loves. Yeah, love how these people attack video games will defend to death literature that has the same themes because that's art. Okay, so again, some of the reasons I don't do this is because of where it takes us and where it goes down, and I usually end up regretting having these up. Let me put this out. I really prefer just to talk about lore. I really prefer to be more neutral, to hang out and have fun and things like that. So I'm going to say this as a very high level, and I'm not saying it's bad, I'm not saying it's good, I'm not even going to give my opinion on what I believe, and I don't want us to necessarily attack too much. But I have noticed that a lot of the people, like the White House, like certain politicians, will attack violent video games, but then talk about their massive and unaltering faith in God and love of the Bible. The Bible has some of the most violent and, shall we say, horrific things you can find. That's not to say it's right. That's not to say it's wrong. I'm not giving my opinion on it. I'm just saying that if you don't like violence, don't teach your kids the Bible. And if you're going to teach your kids the Bible, then you're going to teach your kids about some violence. And people for generations have been, generations upon generations upon generations, have been taught the Bible, and we're not all masochistic murderers. So it's a more nuanced way of looking at it. And I guess that's what frustrates me, because people will just sit there and say science fiction, Star Trek is so toxic. When even if we were going to accept, that being in Star Trek, a Star Trek fanboy can or has a better instance of making you toxic or being toxic, we still need to look at the nuanced discussion over it. Von Miller, the Amish, you have to watch your back with them. Yeah, never trust the Amish. It's true. There are a lot of people who could learn some politics from you, says Micah Leith. No, I'm not interested in that. I used to do that for a while, for a couple of years. Not interested in that at all. I like my lore. I like doing this. I love this. I love getting up. I work, 8 hours, 5 to 8 hours a day just doing this, and I have to schedule time in between to do all of this, and I love it, and I don't want to do anything else. But I do think that it's worth us talking about these things, to taking a step back, because I'm not just going to ignore these things that happen, because it's just going to continue to be talked about. So ever so often, I like to get real. I like to see what you guys are thinking and where we go with it. But this is not going to be the norm. Generally, we're just going to talk about fun stuff. Like, for instance, this Sunday I'm thinking about either doing another breakdown of Janeway where you guys can call in and talk about it, or we'll talk about Kirk. You want to talk about a deviant? That's Kirk. What got you into sci-fi? Let's see. Cole at Kalebach. What did Kalebach say? I don't know. What got you into sci-fi? For me, it was SG1, Stargate 1. That's a good question. I don't really know what my original Star sci-fi was. Might have been The Next Generation, but I doubt it. Way back in the day, I liked Sequest, and there were certain animes, old animes, that I liked watching. I have to think about that. If I can remember, like the first one, I'll let you know. At Lore Reloaded, personally, I'd say that some of the more violent video games have some of the most mature themes that is exploitable in ways that books and other forms of media can't really do. So, yes and no. I do look at gaming, and even I look at gaming, I look at lore channels, gaming for sure is an art form. I think, obviously, media is an art form. Gaming is unique in that you directly are doing the actions. That said, I know people who have identified with books and characters in books, and some of the most horrific characters in books, and who have tried to justify to me why these horrible people are good. I wish I could think of some off the top of my head, but there have been people who have so identified, and look, this isn't a book, this is obviously Trek, but there are people who have tried to justify to me why Gul Dukat was completely and utterly a good guy, and everything he did was completely accurate. Now, I think that you could understand, empathize, and justify, up to a point, some of what Gul Dukat did. Even up to and including joining the Dominion during the Dominion War. Some of the things after that are completely unjustifiable. The Cardassian occupation is not of Bajor, and that wasn't Dominion War, obviously, but the Cardassian occupation of Bajor, completely not justifiable. But people so like him, so identify with him, they're trying to justify slavery and genocide and all kinds of horrific things. So yes, gaming is unique in that you get to be, or you get to simulate what you're looking at. But you can do that with books. You can do that with media. It's just not as easy. Lore Reloaded, do you think that there are some things that should be taboo? Like, what do you think about the uproar over the upcoming video game Becoming Human having stuff about child abuse? It's kind of moving into something I don't really want to get into. Let me say this. I think that almost anything should be explored, can and should be explored to a degree. I think that when we explore ideas, we realize why they are wrong. But there are certain things that I would have a huge issue with, depending on how it's done. Child abuse being one of those. I don't think there should be a game where you can abuse a child. I think that shouldn't be allowed. That said, a game about a person who had to deal with child abuse, or who had to explore and better understand what people go through so that we can empathize, I think would be, I think might have value. And I'm sure that's going to get clipped to hell and people are going to hate me now. How much do you need from Patreon to maybe quit your job, or at least work part-time? I do this full-time. I am a full-time entertainer. But that said, if you guys want me to move more and have more time on Patreon, it would at least need to... I don't necessarily like talking about Patreon, but since the question was asked, I am 100 away from $500. With that plus what I make here, plus super chats and everything, puts me in a really good spot, so I can definitively do 40 hours. But to really expand the way I want to, it would have to get up to 1,000 or 2,000. That's not me asking you guys. I hate even talking about it like that, but since the question was asked, that's where I would need to be. Some of the best villains are the ones you can relate to or understand, if not agree. I think some of the best villains are people you can empathize with. I think you can. Travis is already making the clips. Yeah, I'm sure he is. Yes, sorry, I didn't mean to get... Yes, Gul Dukat you can empathize with. I completely understand... I completely understand why Gul Dukat joined the Dominion and why the Cardassians were okay with it. I mean, it makes sense. I empathize with that. And I think that's what makes him a good villain. Until they made him insane because they didn't like how people were empathizing with him, which that's just another story. But there are some things that he did wrong, like his complete and utter need to justify the occupation and to say that it was okay. It's interesting. It gives him a flaw. It gives him a dynamic. It's something that you can latch onto. But people who say, you know, it was okay because it was his culture or yada, 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 I don't necessarily agree with. But the empathy there, I can. Let's see. One Call of Duty game had a level where you shot unarmed people at an airport. They eventually made it possible to skip. You didn't necessarily have to shoot those people. To my understanding, I've never played that level, but I do know from my research of that level that that was a horrific act, and the actual game made it to be a bad act. It put you out as the bad guy, and you had consequences that were the bad guy. You know, context is the killer of fiction. Or no, what is it? Context is the heresy of the liar, or something like that. Lore, have you heard of the loot box controversy, and what is your opinion on this in gaming? I have not heard of the loot box controversy. Let me know what the loot box controversy is, and I will give you my opinion of it. Church Nexus 26 giving me, I'm guessing that's $5 in Australian money? Maybe? Is that what the A is there? Are you from Australia, Church? Anyway, guys, just so you know, if you like this channel, you like these discussions, you like me getting real, you want me to do 3 live streams a week plus 5 videos, it's through super chats, it's through becoming a sponsor. You can become a sponsor just like on Twitch. Hit that little green button to do that. It's through Patreon. It's through people like you just watching this. So thank you so much. In my point of view, the Nastiest Things interview game was the... Whoa. In my point of view, one of the Nastiest Things interview game was the Spartan program in Halo. P.S. I love the game, but it's still nasty. I tell you, if you really like the Halo series, I would suggest reading the Halo books. They are excellent. I almost would love to do a lore on them. There's so much backstory. It's really written very, very well. And if you're a huge science fiction nerd and you like Star Trek, like if you like watching Star Trek, I think you'll like the Halo books. Yeah, someone's pointing this out. There's been it's 54 people watching now. There was 59 people earlier, up to 60, and I only got 21 thumbs up. You guys know how this works. Either thumb up or thumb down. I don't care. There's 53 people watching. Let's have 30 thumbs downs. Y'all won't do it. Y'all won't thumb down 30. Can't get 30 before it ends. This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of us, says Nextlick. I think weekend live streams would be nice because it's going to get late for the rest of the world when you go live. Tesla, I do morning shows. It's called Lore in the Past. It's so that so people on the other side of the planet can watch the shows. They're on Tuesdays at 10 to 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. Let's see. Spartan 2 was rough. 5-year-olds. Yep. Don't read the latest Onyx book. It betrays many of the pre-established characters and motivations. I don't think I've read the most recent, so I won't if it does, because I'd hate that. I really love the Halo series. must balance likes and dislikes. So, I mean, if you guys want to move on to something else, I know a lot of people disagreed with my opinion when it came to the Resistance, which is fine. People always get mad when I make the good guys out to not be the best in the world, and I get that, but yeah, I mean, we can move on to other stuff. It's whatever you want. What I mean is justified in their view because it helps the state. Lore, what do you think of the Star Trek Discovery Klingons? I actually have an entire series where we discuss every episode. I don't get as mad about the Nexus. I'll answer that in a second. Nexus, to answer the question, have you heard of 7 of 9? Are we perverted? I get the joke. I don't get as mad at the Klingons in Star Trek Discovery as a lot of people do, and I'll tell you why. Some of the actions I don't like. I think they betray it when it comes to their actions. But when it comes to their look, if you look at the original series Klingons to the original series movie Klingons, to the Next Generation Klingons, to Deep Space Nine Klingons, to Voyager Klingons, they change quite a bit. And hugely depending on which series you're looking at. So the visual recreation, I don't necessarily have a huge issue with. I kind of look at it like a reboot, but it doesn't bug me as much because it's something that they've done. I don't think these Klingons are supposed to be honor-bound. They're supposed to be what we think of when we think of the original series movie Klingons or even TNG Klingons, and they don't act that way. They don't act that way at all. And so I don't like them in that respect. Moser, 1989. Was Kirk the biggest player in the galaxy? Thank goodness science fiction medicine. Yeah, he was. We'll talk about that. He was, what's her name? There's a YouTuber, female YouTuber, red hair, always upbeat. She generally talks about Game of Thrones. She went to the recently Game of Thrones convention that I took my wife to, and I met her before my channel started exploding. I want to say Rowan, but it's not that. Anyway, she did one of the reasons you wouldn't want to get kissed by Kirk, and I have to agree, Kirk is a deviant. In some of the episodes, complete and utter deviant. And yeah, Kirk had some masculinity issues. Sci-Fi Sith Dan, loot boxes basically in-game purchasing that cost real money to buy cheats like weapon skins. I usually take Jim Sterling when it comes to Jim Sterling, the way he looks at things when it comes to loot boxes, weapon skins, items, things like that. So I would say I probably agree with the way Jim Sterling looks at that, especially with that. Jim 1985, love your shows and stream. Thanks for the good content. I am here for you, Jim 1985. I'm here for you. What are your opinions regarding Mary/Gary Stews and author avatars in fiction? You'd have to give me direct or specific examples. Generally, I don't like any kind of Mary or Gary Stews, someone who either is loved by everyone, can't really do wrong, even when they do wrong, they do right. Michael Burnham, we actually renamed Michael Sue. So characters like that, I don't like. I think they ruin the fiction. If you want to have it in your story, that's fine. But I don't necessarily want to... I don't necessarily like it in fiction. I think they bring it down. Grumblebee AB, bleh, Sterling's a hack. Well, that's fine. He may be. I'm just talking about his specific opinion when it comes to loot boxes, loot crates, and things like that. I find his arguments compelling. I'm not speaking to whether he's a hack or not. I'm speaking to his argument. Which is the better ending for Kirk? Undiscovered Country or Generations? So which is better? The one where he goes off into the hopeful one where he goes off into the riding into the sunset. His story has been told, but he's still going to be out there. He's still going to be changing things where it's a nice goodbye, or the one where he's dead and is left on a barren planet so that the animals can come and eat his carcass and bones. Things I'm going to have to think about. Overpowered characters need to do with great care, like One Punch Man, where the comedy is based around his strength. I think power creep's a real issue. One of the reasons why I think they may have issues in a post Deep Space Nine or post Voyager series is because of power creep. You just look at the Sovereign class ship, how powerful that ship is. With a ship that magnanimous, it's going to be really hard to find things week after week to defeat it. Yeah, I mean, power creep is a huge issue, and overpowered characters, it's one of the things why we may be towards the end of what we can do with Trek, to be honest. If you could make one major change to Star Trek, what would you change? All of Discovery. I like when they seem like a Mary Sue, but then their dark secret is revealed and they turn out to be a manipulative villain instead. Give me an example, Tessa Jalal. I'd be interested to see what your example of that would be. Generation Kirk dies and his body is left in the most dumbest way, as well left to the animals to eat. When do you think we'll get another series can post Deep Space Nine? I don't know that we ever will. I think that it will be instant money, though. So I was talking with... Can I... I'm pretty sure I can share this, but if I can't, then this stream is going to go unlisted or even protected at some point. I was talking with Cockings from Trek Yards, and we were talking about fanfics that we enjoyed. And I understand the CBS rules and everything like that, but I told this to him. I really think that if you want to be instantly successful, is to create a Dominion War fanfic. I mean, seriously, if someone, and I'm a big channel, but I'm not necessarily like huge. I'm not huge. I'm mid-tier for Star Trek for lore, and I'm very, very small compared to anybody else in the YouTube sphere. But I would put so much backing behind a really well-made fanfic that is Dominion War era. I mean, it would have to be good. It wouldn't just be anything. But I think that would be money. Dominion War era episode or post Deep Space Nine fanfic is probably what we're going to get and where it's at. I don't think we'll ever see it in mainstream, though. I just don't. Now, I've been wrong. I once said that I couldn't see Discovery getting a season 2, and we saw how well that went. So I could be wrong. I don't see it. Don't have one off the top of my head. I have one in mind, but I've forgotten where they were. Well, if you remember, let me know. Monster 1989, curious, how well do you think a post-Voyager covering the fall of the UFP would be received? You can't really mix it up any more than that. I don't think it would be received well at all. I think that if you destroy the United Federation of Planets, those who are nostalgia, those who hate Discovery, would hate that even more. And I think you'd have a lot of nostalgia people who don't like this idea, but I think this idea might be popular, might be something that could be watched. Don't destroy the United Federation of Planets, but I think something along the lines of a near civil war would be intriguing. Look at where the United Federation of Planets and Starfleet is at the end of Dominion. You have an entire generation or generations of people who have experienced the most horrific war the Alpha Quadrant has ever seen. Starfleet was forced to become a full-on, dedicated 100% military. And they lost a lot of people. And entire planets that were once thought not to be able to be touched were touched. Beta Z. They were at the Vulcan border. And so now you have this group of people that think that Starfleet must always remain a military. And then you have another group of people who think that Starfleet should return to being science. And so you have this internal conflict and turmoil fighting for the soul of what the Federation is. And then go on from there. What could that be? What would that look like? I think that'd be really interesting. Have it come to near civil war. Have a ship like an Akira class ship that has to toe the line, not knowing who is what and who they're talking to. No Stripe 361. I'd like to see a post DS9 based around Section 39. I think you meant 31, or something based on politics espionage. That'd be interesting, but it's not Trek. I don't think they'd do it because it's not. Star Trek is about exploration. Sometimes it's about fighting hostile aliens. It's not a spy thriller. That's kind of why Discovery's not working that well. It's not Star Trek is not a lot of things that Discovery is. It's just like it's a science fiction show with a Star Trek skin. That's why people don't like it. So it has to be what it is historically. Someone had a good question. Any show out there you think was ahead of its time, wish it got a second chance? Mine is Andromeda. Started. Good night, baby. Love you.
Love you.
Mwah. Sorry. Mrs. Lore is going to sleep. Any show out there you think was ahead of its time, wish it got a second chance? Mine is Andromeda. Started great, good idea, but finished incorrectly. Andromeda, I think, is a good one. I really liked Inc. You remember Incorporated? I think Inc. was a good sci-fi that got canceled before its time. I don't know.
This is a good sci-fi.
Yeah. Doctor Who. Man, I bet there's a lot that I could think of. There was one I really liked that I think was Firefly. Firefly is an excellent example.
Yes.
That got canceled too far.
That season 2.
Yeah. There was a kids show that I really liked.
School Bus?
No, it's not the Magic School Bus. That one actually got a good, decent closing. It was Astronauts or Astroneers or something like that. Basically, there was these three individuals, two white guy, a black guy, and a woman, and they got to get in mechs and fight in mechs and stuff. I forget what it was called, but it was really good. It got canceled. It's called like Astronauts or something like that. I absolutely loved it. Of course, that may be nostalgia. I was a kid. They even restarted Magic School Bus. Do we have some Imperious Gaming? Do we have some Stargate Universe love? I keep telling you guys I'm going to do Stargate, and I intend to do Stargate. I really do. But I am going to do some Stargate. I've been so busy trying to keep up with the stuff I got now. As soon as some of the other series ends, like Star Trek Online, other series end, I'm going to start opening that up. I'm also going to start dipping my toe in and start doing some non-Star Trek stuff. I might do it tomorrow. I might not. I was thinking about doing a Battlestar Galactica. I have a couple of videos triggered up, ready. And I was thinking about doing one Battlestar Galactica to see what you guys like and to see response to it. Because usually, as I've said, this channel is a conversation. And if people aren't interested in the conversation, then I'm not going to have it. So we'll see. Stargate I'm dedicated to regardless, but I'm hoping to get some more different mixing things up. Imperious Gaming, I meant as a series canceled too early. Yeah, those are series I thought were canceled too early. By the way, guys, if you're liking this, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Once this goes live, if you comment, you have a chance to win a Galaxy-class starship. If you're in the United States, I'll definitely ship it to you. If you're not in the United States, then I'll contact you. We can talk it through, see how much it would cost. If you get mad that I can't send it to you outside the United States, feel free to message me. I'll let you know how much you need to pay me every month to ensure that I can send these outside of the United States. I am not rich yet. If you are a patron, you can be a patron for as low as $1 a month. You'll get entered into a chance to get a NX-01 model. All of this from Eaglemoss. I absolutely love Eaglemoss. I don't make a dime from them, believe it or not. They do send me the ships so I can take a look at them for free, but I don't make any dime. They don't pay me any money. I just think that they're such a good company and they make such quality items that I want to share it with you guys. Earth Final Conflict. I don't remember. Battletech cartoon restart. It wasn't Battletech. I forget what it's called. It was a series that had mechs, but I forget what it was called. How many ex-Dominion worlds do you think joined the Federation after the war? How would these impact the power struggle in the galaxy? No Dominion worlds joined the Federation after the war. at all. Because none of them probably ever found out that they lost the Alpha, they lost the war in the Alpha Quadrant. I mean, why would the Dominion tell them? The Dominion would just sit behind the wormhole and pretend like that never happened. They'd still have their power in the Gamma Quadrant. None of the Gamma Quadrant infrastructure was damaged. They remade the fleets, I'm absolutely sure. They just lost in the Alpha Quadrant. And so they would have agreed to it. It was not called BattleTech TD, but okay, so it wasn't BattleTech and it wasn't Mech Warrior. It was called Astronauts or Astro something. It was a kids show. I forget if it was on Nintendo or Hypernauts. Tim M got it. That's right. Hypernauts. It was called Hypernauts. It got canceled too early. It was not BattleTech. Had nothing to do with Mech Warrior. Nothing to do with BattleTech. It was Hypernauts. Thank you, Tim M. Tim M wins the internet tonight. Professor Janus, is there anything in Star Trek that makes you fully rage? Yes, and it's not even in Star Trek Discovery, though some of it is in Star Trek Discovery, but the fetishizing of rape in Enterprise, as well as in The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, really pisses me off. It's easy to get me on a high horse there. Imperious Gaming, if you had to command either one specific ship or ship class from Star Trek, which would you choose? It would be the Prometheus, because I believe that's one of the most powerful ships. What about Dark Matter? Have not seen Dark Matter. Was Dark Matter canceled? Because that's unfortunate. I heard it was good. I haven't seen it, though. I didn't know that. The new Lost in Space on Netflix looks great. Okay. There was rape on Star Trek Enterprise. Absolutely, there was. Tesla effect, fetishes of rape also happen in Discovery. It does, I agree, but you were asking what pisses me off. Enterprise did it worse, in my opinion. Though The Next Generation wasn't far behind as well, and Deep Space Nine was on the fence. What are the chances you think they might bring Q in Star Trek Discovery? I don't think they will. They might, but I don't think they will. All right, so it keeps getting asked. We've talked about this a lot, so I'm going to go over it briefly. And I know some of you guys who are watching may disagree with us. Alexandra, I see you're here. You and me disagree on this, which is fine. And I'm going to go over this briefly, and then we're just going to keep it moving. In one of the episodes, Trip goes onto an alien ship to help the aliens out. He gets a little bit high from their atmosphere or whatever. He wakes up, and he has a good connection with this female alien. She has him do this thing where they put their hands in like crystal or something like that. The way they're acting, it's very enjoyable. It's orgasmic. It's very fun. He has no idea what's going on or what this is. To him, he thinks it's a game. It's like we're all playing jump rope. And we're just enjoying it to him. He ends up pregnant, goes back to the Enterprise. The Enterprise people make fun of the fact that he got pregnant doing an action he didn't know. And she's like, oh, I didn't know it would get you pregnant. I just thought we were having fun. I didn't know you were compatible. He had no consent in it. The people there... Darren Wagner, that's Trip wasn't raped, just impregnated. There's a difference. Okay. Well then. That is the dumb... Let's just... Okay. Wow. I'm sorry, Your Honor. She wasn't raped. She just got impregnated. All right. Let's just keep it moving. Could just say it's the same Q inhabiting a different body, says IXeron. You could. A topic so bad, it's like, okay, we are done. I'm just not going to argue about it. I mean, Darren Wagner, I love you. You comment a lot. He's a patron, though that doesn't impact my opinion. Though I love the support that Darren gives. And I mean, he comments a lot, and we disagree from time to time. I'm just not going to at any point. That is, I'm sorry, that just blows my mind. I disagree so much, and it doesn't make Darren bad or anything. I'm not saying Darren's a bad person. I just disagree so much with that I don't want to get into it. The little known fact is Marina Sirtis was actually pregnant in TNG episode The Child during filmmaking of that episode. I didn't know that. Darren, sorry, Lord. There's no reason to be sorry. I'm not... Darren, buddy, we're good. There's no reason to be sorry. We can just disagree on it. I'm not asking you. You're not a bad person for it. We have a disagreement. Purge the heretics, burn the witch, kill the Xeno. Okay. Artificial insemination. Man, the things you guys get into. See, this is probably going to go unlisted because I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. I'm gonna be like, this was a bad episode to have a conversation about. But yeah, I mean, it's just something we disagree with. It doesn't make anybody mad. Travis is out. Have a nice night. Travis, always a pleasure when you're here, buddy. If this new Trek movie is post-TNG, then I'd love to see Data back as ACM, like the Doc from Voyager. It'd be a great way to bring him back. Also, what are your top 3 Trek characters, good or bad? Top 3 Trek characters would have to be probably Lorca pre Terran Empire, Gul Dukat, and Sisko. I don't think they're going to bring Data back. The guy who played Data, man, I can't believe I don't remember his name. I'm a little tired. I'm sorry, guys. The guy who played Data he wanted Data to end. And so I don't think we'll see Data back. Janeway versus Worf in a boxing match. Who would win? Janeway, obvs. I think we should drink a glass for Stephen Hawking. May his soul rest in peace and his contributions to science be forever remembered. I'm going to agree with that. He added a lot to science, and so he'll be missed. Lorca kept it together amazingly well, and then just loses his ass comic book villain style once he's back home. Yeah, so here's the thing. I'm going to start doing more Discovery lore because it is canon. I know you guys hate that, but it is canon. And his character is so inconsistent with how he acts as Terran Empire. Look at the battle, the attack on the Gagarin. Or how he saves the Gagarin, how selfless he is, how much he wants to help the people of the Gagarin. Look at Into the Forest I Go, with the entire race, the entire planet. Look at all that. It's amazing. He's an amazing officer, Starfleet officer. Just very, very well written. So many levels and layers to him, and he's such a good actor. And then all of a sudden he just goes off the rails. I mean, Gul Dukat off the rails in Terran Empire. By the way, Darren Wagner, since you're still here, are we good, buddy? I just want to make sure you and me are good. I didn't have a problem with you, so I need you to say that you and me are okay. Darren Wagner, I don't believe Star Trek Discovery is canon just because CBS says so. If they wanted to be canon, they should have made it look, sound, and feel like it. Brother, I'm right there with you, but, I mean, what they say goes. I almost feel that Lorca evil switch was flipped because the actor wanted to abandon ship. I mean, it may have been that. It definitely... I know Lorca, the character, what is it, Isaacs? I can't stand Isaacs. I don't like who Isaac's politics or how boisterous he is about his politics in real life. And I'm sure he cares just about as much as my opinion of him when it comes to that. But I know that Isaac's as an actor, did not want to continue playing Lorca. And they may have done that. That may have been why the sudden change. And that is even inconsistent with what they were doing, because they were saying the Klingons were going to be the Trumpers, the whatevers. But yeah. Admiral Saval, at Lorca, you in your Discord. I am not in my Discord, but now you're worrying me. Should I be in my Discord? Something going on in my Discord? What do you think the state of the galaxy would be a century after the Dominion War? I think that... I don't know. See, that's what I'm saying. That would be an interesting post-Deep Space Nine discussion. Because a century after, I could see them very much being similar to Star Trek Online, where you just have this huge military, and now it's a military complex that plays nicey nice most of the time, but you really don't want to piss them off. Or, because it happened from the original series to The Next Generation, I could very much see them going straight TNG pacifistic. So I don't know. It would be a one or the other, not both. Tesla Effect, Star Trek Online is not canon, my friend. Absolutely not. Not in the slightest. Neither is Eagle Moss. Something having a license. CBS executives have said this themselves, and I'd be happy to find the quote for you. Star Trek is like how Star Wars used to be. They'll give a license to anyone who can give them money, and give them an S-ton of money. That doesn't mean it's canon. In fact, anything not on screen isn't canon. Professor Janus got to go, guys, for the Emperor, for Mankind, and for the cheese. Das Boo, I mean Deus Vult. Admiral Saval is in my Discord. Well, good. Everyone should be in my Discord. If you're watching this, you should refresh at the end and be in my Discord. Do you think Star Trek would benefit by being unified with a showrunner instead of movies and TVs being owned separately? Absolutely. I think one of the reasons the MCU does so well, I think one of the reasons MCU does so well is because they've done that. That they've created this entire universe that all of it sticks together. And definitely, I think that's what everything needs to do. I think... who's DC? I think DC should do that, which they're not. I think Star Trek should do that. Oh God, if Disney buys Star Trek, they will kill it more. Jimmy, 1985, I completely and utterly disagree with you. It would be the best thing for me. CBS steals so much money from me. I do this as a living. I'm an entertainer for a career. CBS has taken thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars out of my pocket. Multi-million dollar corporation. But Disney has never given me any trouble. Star Wars stuff that I put up, if it ever gets Content ID, they instantly turn around and say, you know what, yeah, you own that. BBC has done the same thing. Fox has done the same thing. The only people who say, no, we'll take you to court, CBS. Now, I think CBS is bluffing, if I'm being honest, and I know I'm in the right and would win a court case, but I'm not at this moment prepared to utilize my fair use defense in court. I still think I have a fair use defense in court, though. No, I know. I don't think. I know. Star Trek Online is considered soft canon, says Tessa. At least that's what CBS says. Sorry, it went up. Tessa, I'm going to challenge you. Find me a CBS executive quote that isn't on Star Trek Online's website for that. Lore Reloaded. That is why movie-wise Marvel is way better than DC currently. I agree. They got all of their stuff together. And that's why MCU just does so well, because it brings it all together. Star Wars. Hate it or like it. One thing, I didn't like that they said the expanded universe went away, because I liked a lot of the expanded universe. But now everything they put out, everything with a license, is all interconnected, and they require the story to stay consistent. And I like that about Star Wars. I really do. Do you think a Star Trek series based completely in Starfleet Academy would be good? I'd have to see. I don't know. I'd have to take a look at it. Someone asked a question. Where was it? I'm sorry. Man, I wish... Darren, I think you asked... Oh, what is soft canon? That's right, Darren. What is soft canon? The first time I ever saw soft canon was on Star Trek Online's website. And on Star Trek Online's website, they call themselves soft canon, which means that it is canon until the shows say it's not. That's fair enough. And I like Star Trek Online. I like the people Star Trek Online. I like the stories. And I'm willing to accept that for the most part. But I think that's a Star Trek Online thing, and I challenge anybody who says that CBS is behind that to show me a quote from a CBS executive, because you're not going to find it, I don't believe. I could be wrong. Would you think it would be good to do a full reset near separate universe of Star Trek to make new stories, says No Tribe 361. What's up, Kyle Saltenberg? Yes. Let me say this. JJ Verse, love it or hate it, the fact that they say it's a reboot and do what they want with it. Yeah, I would say that that's okay and that's good. Look at Battlestar Galactica. For me, Battlestar Galactica is Battlestar Galactica reimagined. When you say Battlestar Galactica to me, I think reimagined. I love reimagined. Absolutely love that series. The original Battlestar Galactica, not the biggest of a fan, but a lot of people get upset. A lot of people say the original Battlestar Galactica is the best. So I don't mind doing reimagined. I think people should. I think that it's a way to try new things. Someone just asked me if I like Star Trek Horizon. Let me confirm. I think... Is that who I think that is? Yeah, it is. Yeah, I like Star Trek Horizon. Not only do I like Star Trek Horizon, I've actually talked to and have him on my Skype, though he doesn't answer his Skype anymore. Because, you know, I guess I'm just not that important. The producer, the guy who put it together. Great guy. I actually love them. He's a really cool guy. I think he got out of the business because it didn't do as well after Horizons. But yeah, I've seen Horizons. I like Horizons. And I hate that we didn't get to see more of the stuff that he did. Lore Reloaded. We'll never find a quote from a CBS CEO about Star Trek Online because CEO comments are as rare as the government. I didn't say CEO. I said executive. Any exec in CBS who has said that. Not the chief executive officer, just any exec. Because they have their own divisions. Old school BSG is still good, but I grew up on it, so I know that it was the theme song to my heart. Reimagined was epic, even if the story got lost. Yeah, now I will admit, Reimagined kind of went off the beaten path quite a few times, and some stuff that's confusing. The ending, Tesla, thanks for coming. The ending was very mixed, in my opinion, but Reimagined, I think, was good. A lot of people like Battlestar Galactica, and hey, I'm right there with you. But it's not as good as Reimagined. Hey, Laura dropped 8680, part of my name. Mr. Pete, coming up in the house, has his own channel. Pretty cool guy. The only BSG 2004 is the hold ending because it just... Okay. We're probably going to be ending this shortly, guys, so if you have any more questions, they'll be coming towards the end. By the way, if you haven't watched Star Trek Horizons... you should definitively watch it. It's a fan fiction movie that I really like. I think it's epic. I don't think it's as good as Axanar, Prelude to Axanar, but I think it's pretty good. And I think you guys should watch it. It does get kind of mixed up. They start out doing a really interesting Coalition of Planets versus Romulan arc. Then they go off to something else when I really wanted to watch the Coalition versus Romulan arc, but it's still good. Andromeda lost me when the purple girl turned into a sun and died. Well, I'll take spoilers for the win. I didn't know she turned into a sun and died. I tell you what, if you want to watch Andromeda, because I had heard so many bad things, and I knew the original, I don't know if he was producer, but the original guy for Andromeda had left, he actually did how he would have ended it from the viewpoint of the purple girl. And I forget what it's called, but he writes the scene out, and I think it's the perfect ending for it, in fact. It's interesting because it all actually revolves around the purple girl and how she about a darkness versus light type thing, and it's very, very interesting, and it would have been a good way to end it, I think. Old Fire Master, it is always a pleasure to see you, sir. Better late than never. Is Koles our Lord and Savior? I don't know who Koles is. I feel like I should. I'm going to go with yes, tentatively, until I verify who Koles is. All right, guys, as I said, I'm going to be switching this up. You're going to see more of me. There's going to be no more of your comments because of live chat replay. If you like this, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. More importantly, always be yourselves and always be out there. Continue to let me know what you guys like, and what you guys want to see. And as a last one, Sci-Fi Sith Dan, you're still a lower tier YouTuber. I think you need to reach 100,000 to become a middle tier YouTuber. Given at your rate of growth, I'd say within 2.5 years. Man, I hope I get there within 2 years. As I said, I am a low tier YouTuber. I am mid tier for Star Trek channels. I'm still low to mid for lore channels. But yes, I'll fully admit I am still definitely a small YouTuber. But beyond that, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you on the next Lore Reloaded. And now I'm going to stare for a couple of seconds because there's always a delay. I got to make sure you get the last Lore Reloaded piece.